Hi, I'm Efe from bakingwithEfe.com, and today we're going to be making a really decadent dessert. You all voted for the Triple Chocolate Mousse Cake, so here we are today. We're going to make that yummy, scrummy dessert. So we're going to get started right away. Now it's a pretty interesting cake because it's actually called the Triple Chocolate Mousse Cake, but it hasn't got any flour, so I am actually excited to make this. Okay, so we'll start with our butter. I'm using butter today, and I've got 85 grams of butter, which is equivalent to 6 tablespoons of butter, and I'm going to put that right here. What we want to do is to melt the butter. I'm just going to give it a quick stir, and then we're going to get to our chocolates. Now I'm using 200 grams of dark rich chocolate. Now with these kind of desserts, you really have to make sure you get good quality dark chocolate. So I'm going to use 200 grams, which is 2 packs of what I've got here. Ideally, it would be much better if you have the chocolate chips, but it's quite difficult to get sometimes. So I'm just going to break this all in here and melt it down. Now when you're melting chocolate, just try to ensure your bowl doesn't touch the water, because that way it starts to make it quite curdly. Oh, this is melted so nicely and the smell is just amazing. So I'm going to get this down. It's pretty hot, so turn off the heat, take it off the heat, and we'll leave it to cool down before we get on to our next step. This looks absolutely smooth and dark chocolate. Okay, so it's time to get to the next step. We'll just set this aside to cool. I've got 4 eggs here, and again we're going to separate them into the egg whites and the egg yolks. Okay, so my last egg going in. So I'm putting my egg whites into this bowl and my egg yolks into this bowl. So always make sure you give this a bit of a stir so it doesn't form a skin over the top. Now onto my egg yolks right here. I'm going to add 1.5 teaspoons of vanilla to the egg yolks. Okay, so I've added my vanilla to the egg yolks. I'm just going to give it a quick stir. This goes into our chocolate mixture. Make sure you try to scrape it all out. Now make sure your chocolate is quite cool before you go on to this step, because you don't want scrambled eggs. So I'm just going to give this a right mix. Wow, look at that. That is gorgeous. Okay, so I've set the chocolate mixture aside, and we're going to start with the egg whites. Now I've got 4 egg whites here, as I said earlier, and I'm going to use a pinch of salt right there, and then we're going to put this on medium to high speed for about 2 minutes until it starts getting quite frothy. Right, this has gotten quite frothy, just what I want. Now I've got 70 grams of brown sugar. I'm going to add half of that. Well, hopefully half. Okay, and then we're going to mix it in before we add the second half. Okay, second half of the brown sugar is going in, and we'll give that a mix for about 2 minutes until it starts to get to the ribbon stage. Okay, so this is exactly what we're looking for. You want it to be quite well mixed and combined, and also to form stiff peaks. Okay, so I'm just going to take 1/2 of our egg whites and gently fold it into the chocolate mix. Now you fold it and make sure there are no white streaks at all. So all of my egg whites have been combined here, and it's time to go into the oven. Okay, just try to make sure your pan is at least really hot. And I'm going to bake this at 160 degrees for about 20 minutes until the middle rises. So in it goes. Okay, so this is ready. I ended up baking it for about 25 minutes. So it's just going to shrink itself back down, but once it's risen, you know it's ready. So we're just going to leave that to cool down and we'll start with the second layer. Okay, so for our next layer, it's the same quantity of chocolate we're using, which is 200 grams. I'm going to quickly get that melted, but I'll take you through the rest of the ingredients. We're going to use 1.5 cups of whipping cream. We've got 1 tablespoon of sugar, 5 tablespoons of hot water. I'm going to use an 1/8 teaspoon of salt. And in here we also have cocoa powder, which is 2 tablespoons, which more or less translates to 14 grams. So we're just going to get started in melting down our chocolate. So this is just the chocolate being melted down on its own. I've got no butter here, just the chocolate. So again, it's the same process. You want the steam from the hot water. I've got my hands covered in chocolate. You want all the steam from the hot water to melt down the chocolate. So chocky wacky doodah, I'll be back in a moment. Okay, so while our chocolate is melting down, I'm going to take my cocoa powder, and this is slightly warm water. I'm just going to add the cocoa powder to this, because what we want is for the cocoa powder and the water to bloom, as they say. We want the hot water to infuse the cocoa so we get that rich cocoa, all the properties associated with our cocoa powder today. So I'm just going to give that a mix and set aside. 1.5 cups of whipping cream, which more or less is 360 ml of whipping cream. I'm just going to put it in my mixing bowl. Now I'm going to use a tiny bit of salt. As I said, 1/8, which is like 2 pinches of salt in here. And in goes a tablespoon of sugar. Okay. Now I'm just going to start mixing it quite slowly, and then I'm going to pick up the speed. So as you can see, this is nice and thick. I'm just going to leave it aside for a minute while I combine our chocolate mixture into our runny chocolate. This is what they call chocolatey delights. Okay, so I'm just going to give that a mix until both are combined. And then I'm going to take half of the whipped cream mixture. I don't need this spoon anymore. I'm going to take half of this mixture and fold it into our chocolate. Again, try to fold it in, and what you're looking for is combining it until there are no white streaks visible. Okay, so our second layer is ready. Now just try to make sure you put it right over the top, starting from the middle and spreading it outwards. Right, so I've left that in the fridge to set for about 4 hours, which is longer than normal because I had so much to do. Now baby's in bed, so we can't be too noisy. Right, so this is the third and final layer, and I'm just going to run through the ingredients with you. So I've got 1.5 cups of heavy full cream milk, but I've divided it into 1 cup and ½ cup. And then we have 6 ounces, which is 180 grams of white chocolate. This is the ½ cup. I'm going to pop this in the microwave till it's nice and hot, and we're going to drizzle that all over the chocolate. Okay, so the cream is nice and hot. Now I'm just going to drizzle it all over our white chocolate. Yummy. And just give that a mix, because what you want is for the heat to melt down this decadent chocolate. So just stir till you get like a thick chocolatey ganache consistency. Right, I'm sure my bowl looks quite frosty. What I did was I put it in the freezer just to make the whipped cream whip thicker and quicker. You know me and my shortcuts. Okay, so I'm just gonna whip this till I get soft, stiff peaks. Okay, so cream is nice and whipped. Now I'm just going to add this in, say, 2 batches. Just put a little bit in and I'll mix that in. This is looking so whippy. Now if you don't want it too sweet, you can just reduce the amount of liquid chocolate you add in. Okay, second batch. Okay. Now the other 2 layer has been resting in the fridge, so I'm just gonna grab it. Right, so this is ready to go in, and the beauty of this is you saw that it was just once we had it in the oven. This is really a really sweet dessert for those that have got a sweet tooth like me. So you need to work quickly because this needs to go straight into the fridge. So I'm just trying to smooth along the top. As soon as you're done, just take it to the freezer and leave it to freeze until it's set. So I'll say ideally an hour and a half thereabouts. See you in a bit. Okay, so I just had to shake the sides so it looks nice and neat. And now comes our garnish. I'm just gonna put in some strawberries all the way around. Putting in the last pieces of strawberries. You can see it's even though it's quite sweet and decadent, we're trying to balance it out with a bit of fruit just to make it nice and healthy, even though it's not. So I've got some chocolate shavings. Remember the last time we made our chocolate dessert, we had chocolate shaving, which basically means frozen chocolate grated with your food grater. So I'm just going to sprinkle that all over. You need to make sure it's quite cold because it melts really quickly. We've come to my most favorite part of this show, the tasting part. Now look at that. That looks absolutely gorgeous. You can see all 3 types of chocolate. That is gorgeous. Okay, so I'm going to taste this on your behalf. So give me a second. This is so rich, so rich. My people, how can I share this with you? This is, you see, one thing I really appreciate about the West is they have taken time out to do a lot of research on marrying of tastes and balancing of taste as well. Now, the cream on the top, which is our cream and white chocolate, more or less balances the middle layer. The middle layer is more of our dark chocolate and our heavy cream, and the bottom layer is actually a cake. So you've got a cake on the bottom, you've got bittersweet mousse on the middle, and you've got sweet mousse on the top. This is a rich man's dessert. When I was researching the recipe, I didn't understand how it's possible to bake a cake without flour. You honestly need to challenge yourself and try out this recipe. It is so rich. It's that sort of dessert that you are guaranteed to have in the French restaurants somewhere in Cafe of Paris. So, as usual, people should pray for me. This weight, I'm actually gaining weight. Well, not too much, but I am. I'm going to sign off with this gorgeous piece. My husband is swallowing spit on the other side, but he knows I love him and I'll share it with him. Do try out this piece. As usual, send in your pictures. Let me know how you get on. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel if you want more of the cocoa of what's going on in my kitchen. So you take care. Have a lovely week. Get baking.